Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is it? Yeah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All right, bismillah. Technical difficulties. You know, I have this I feel like clickers have this vendetta against me or something. It's crazy. Subhanallah. Right, bismillah. First, thank people working behind this and everything like that. Jazakumullah khair. Let me tell you about this empire. An empire rich in its red sandstone and white marble architecture, an empire described by its robust trading system filled with rare and precious materials, an empire descendant of an empire described by its robust trading system filled with rare and precious materials, an empire descendant of another empire, the Great Mongols, an empire known for its religiously tolerant societal norms, an empire having the Taj Mahal at its center. This was the Mughal Empire, and it was a superpower at its time. And with the Taj Mahal at its center, it held the representation of Jannah, heaven, and its 8 gates of paradise, a building having art styles beyond the Indian subcontinent but held Persian, Arab, and European styles as well. This was a building of unity and diversity, just like its people. How did it land? Once rich in tolerance and diversity, become a battleground of division. As the Mughal Empire fell into ruin by the hands of the British, establishing themselves as the British Raj, a divide and conquer was made between the Hindus, Muslims, and other religions in India, and that is when the shift started to occur. According to Ted, by the end of Britain's tyrannical rule, it started one of the largest mass migrations in history after India's independence, with 15 million people moving to the new Muslim Pakistan and the Hindu India, and with mass hysteria and chaos. People were not trusting of each other. Community did not mean inclusion or embracing your neighbor, but survival against the other. This led to 3 million people killed, raped, or died of starvation due to violence. By the time Britain came and left, it managed to bring down a powerful empire, then change that empire's social norms, all within 89 years of rule. To understand the shift in world powers, one must understand the impact of outer state interference, how outer state interference influences the government and people into something completely different of its past. Britain managed to bring down a social norm of religious tolerance, and it doesn't stop there. Ignorance plays a role in the shift in world powers, and it's a concept we are all familiar with because we've experienced it before on so many different levels. Like, out of ignorance, my sisters almost caught the house on fire because they almost mixed hot oil with water, causing flames. One of them tried to use sink water to put it out. We were almost homeless. Ignorance can come in the form of what I just mentioned before. Britain having the superiority against the Indian people, downplaying their rights and their human dignity. According to TRT World, from 1770 to 1947, 35 million Indians died from 11 massive famines that were British initiated. But if we really want to talk about ignorance, it comes in the form of this one man, who's similar to the British, started a major power shift in India through his words and his ideas. His name was Vinayak Damodar Savakar. And the best way to describe him was like a rapper. Literally. Very articulate with his words, knew what to say at the right moment, and had passion. Passion to uplift his Hindu community. But just like Kanye, he had some controversial opinions. One of which, he started the Hindutva ideology, a belief that all of India should be under one belief system, Hinduism, using Hinduism as a justification. He heavily enforced this against Muslims, saying that they should be treated as second-class citizens. Savakar was a product of British colonial rule. With their divide and conquer, it sparked hate groups, making Savakar a key inspiration for many other ideologies, such as the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP. And when this ideology manifested into the Indian government, corruption became more frequent against Muslims. I want you all to picture yourself in this scenario. You are a proud Muslim woman wearing the hijab. The day before, you and your father protested for the removal of the BJP spokesperson, a person who made racist remarks against Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it is 8:50 p.m. The police knock on your doorstep. They ask your father to accompany them to the police station. And at 12:30 a.m., local authorities arrest your mother and your sister, threatening you to leave your house. And at 1 a.m. the next day, with a bulldozer, local authorities tear down your house, all within 3 hours. And news channels are broadcasting this event, slandering your father, who is now arrested, being called an extremist and a mastermind behind a protest you just attended. All that is left is dirt and rubble. This is Afreen Fatima, a Muslim woman who faced this 2 years ago, a major backlash for protesting the rights of her Muslim community. So much so, her house was demolished. With all these events leading to the present, Muslims in low-income communities are struggling in poverty, struggling with government recognition, and struggling to get proper rights and education. According to the Sachar Committee report, it stated that 1/4 of Indian Muslim children from ages 6 to 14 years old have either never attended school or are dropouts. And without shifting the blame on Muslims in India who are in poverty and are struggling to make ends meet, the economic struggle for Muslims grows worse by the minute, making education a lesser priority by the day. And we don't just see this in India. We see this around the world. According to Al Jazeera, since July, 70% of schools in Gaza are bombed, UNRWA schools. According to UNICEF, 19 million children in Sudan are out of school as the conflict gets worse. This leads to destroying one of the few tactics of fighting ignorance, education, through influence and propaganda. Once again, shifting the powers to a completely different world. What all these politicians and party leaders have in common is influence. We are people that are influenced in many ways through our peers, our environment, and most of the time social media, influenced to do things that we wouldn't come up with ourselves. Buying a product, advertised on TikTok, because it's been really popular. Buying a book, everyone told you to read, and it ended up being the most disappointing thing you have ever read. But just like your favorite influencer that motivates you to do all these things, let me motivate you to do this. Look to your left. Seriously. Look to your right. You see people with unique histories and struggles that have led them to this room. And if we continue to remain unaware of those struggles, we are never going to make the real changes in our society. Think about the impact you have here. Educating others on this issue builds momentum for change. calling on politicians to act on the issue of Islamophobia, whether it be through protesting, voting for the right candidates, and bombarding these leaders with a call to action, you ensure the shift in world powers, whether it be in this year or the next decade. Don't miss this opportunity. Advocating for the rights of Indian Muslims and Muslims around the world. That history that I just went over for the past 9 minutes does not get repeated over and over again. Now is your chance to be on the right side of history. May we witness the birth of a new era. We're at the heart of India. Muslims resemble red sandstone, resilience and warriors, while also being white marble, spiritual faith and purity.
Spins not now. 2 minutes.